Hello everyone! It is now time for part 2 of Academy, where you can, continue the story, see what the Kitty Cat Club is up to, Resna, Ryza, all of them. Super fun. I love this story, so I hope you're all enjoying it. Now that it is on Global. So with part 2 of Academy, we have a few things for the events. We of course have another score battle. This set of score battles uses the exact same tickets as the first one. I recommend not going too hard on the tickets here unless you want to make gear for Ryza specifically, because there are still Academy unis from this score battle, so a lot of your tickets are probably going on there, and it'll be the same tickets for part 3 as well. So you're gonna have to, decide between each part, like which part is worthy of your tickets and which isn't. It's mostly part 1, but part 3 also has a good material. However, coming in a few days, just like with part 1, there will be events coming throughout the week. So I believe coming in a few days, there's like an item challenge event and maybe more rocket contests. And in the item challenge event, I'll make a video on this when it's here, but there is a way to get a lot of Academy unis if you want to put in the time. So just keep that in mind. It is very time intensive though, but I will cover that once that's actually out. And then the rocket contest, it's kind of interesting. Not really. It's basically just putting in good synth items and getting a score. Once you get to like 250,000 points, you get gems, and after that just mana. So this is really what you're trying to reach. The ones we have right now aren't too difficult, but they actually get really annoying once we get the harder ones with the next part of Academy. So I'll just cover them a little bit, just very quickly. But basically, you pick whether you're going for, each category has a different main attribute that gives it the most. So gliding ability, firepower, efficiency. So if you pick this one, go for firepower. You want to sort your stuff by firepower and pick the stuff with the most firepower. However, kind of annoyingly, they also give a little bit in other attributes, and it's better to have, if firepower is your main stat, it's better to go as much into firepower as you can, sort of, up to like a max, right? Like, you just pick items, and if you hit the max, you kind of want to make it a little more even. You want to be weighted towards firepower, but then you have like, various things that are going to give like a lot in like all 3, especially the event recipes. The event recipes get a huge bonus, especially the ones from part 2 do. So if you're struggling with this, I recommend just putting event recipes in here. The amount of stat you get off of it is also based on trait level. You can see that the better the traits, the more you're going to get out of these items. That's probably not explaining it very well. But basically, high traits, use event items, make sure to not focus completely in one stat, right? It's vaguely what I remember. When we get to the harder ones, I will go over it a little bit more in depth, but just follow this and it's easily enough to get you to the gems. So pretty simple event. But we will get some harder ones, and they can be pretty annoying once we do get there. So, but yeah, let's just go over the banner characters real quick. Everyone's favorite Ryza is finally here, the Gyara Ryza. She's very cute. But we will go ahead and look at the Memoria first. It is just a stun Memoria. Nice art. Ryza and Mimi taking a selfie with Marion in the background. But it is just a stun damage Memoria. In general, stun damage Memoria, they have a nice stat line of 30% attack and 6% speed, which is good for magic attackers if you need that speed. But in general, they're just not really worth it. They're not worth using crystals on. They're not worth wailing for. They're not like they're just not worth getting to rank 5, right? Especially with continuation for free. So yeah, it's a stun Memoria, pretty bland. Let's go over Mimi first. So Mimi is a stab defender, and there's not really any sugarcoating it. She's pretty terrible. She's just not good. For one, she has the Kitty Cat Team passive, which does nothing really for her. Like, you have negative panel immunity, which she doesn't care about red panels, which are the most common negative panels, and all the others are so uncommon that, like, do you really care? And then, like, the boost effect does synergize a little bit with her, but it's not like super great, and it's because of her other passive, which creates recovery panels. So when attacked while HP is not full, converts all of her own panels other than burst panels into HP recovery panels. So they're the green panels, and this is just, it's not very good. First off, the restriction for her HP not to be full means that she has to either be attacked twice, or, you know, like, she has to be attacked twice before she takes a turn to actually get an effect from this. So it's not super common you'll have this activate for her first turn. And also, recovery panels, just like, it's delayed healing. They're pretty strong, but they can't overwrite bursts. Timeline order might shift. They might end up going on enemies. Overall, like, they're decent, but they're not good enough for a whole passive, especially with the restriction for HP to not be full and the delay. You have to get to her next turn to get the recovery, so. And they aren't going to scale with any of, like, Mimi's recovery stats or anything, right? It's just the panel. If you do manage to stack up a bunch of recovery panels, they can be pretty solid, but it's just not enough. The healing is way too slow to be relevant compared to someone like Patty, who you use her skill 2 and she has all these counters that heal her for a ton of HP or whatever, right? Like, it's not very good. Now, she does have skill 1, the classic defender skill 1. Sophie has this, Totri has this. After attacking, restores HP depending on how low her HP is. This is always a great skill 1 for defenders, but skill 1 is not what you're looking for in the kit. It's just a nice bonus. So with her skill 2, after attacking, reduces all allies' damage received by 20% for one attack. This can be very solid for reducing damage taken from AoEs for your party. Like, she does have a niche there where this is actually very decent. However, she's kind of stepping over Neo, who does a very similar thing. Of course, she has taunt and Neo doesn't, but she also does damage and Neo doesn't. Like, it's a very similar thing there, and it only lasts for one attack. It's not really going to prevent you from dying to most of the dangerous AoEs in the game, which is, you know, getting hit by AoEs like 2-3 times in a row, right? So 20% for one attack just isn't super exciting when that's basically all she does. And she doesn't have any damage reduction for herself from her passives, right? And usually defenders feel very squishy if they don't have damage reduction elsewhere in their kit. And then her burst is before attacking, it removes her, negative effects, and then it reduces all the target's resistances by 30% for 2 attacks and restores her and full heals her, basically. So she basically, fully restores herself and gives enemies a resistance debuff. This is similar to what Sophie only has the resistance debuff on hers, except it's much higher magnitude. It's like 50% or something. It's overall, like, if Mimi picks up the burst, you're not really happy to use it most of the time. It will full heal her and give a, bit of a damage boost, but it's kind of just like, you'd rather her have a stronger defensive kit for herself so she can fill the role of an actual defender, tanking single target attacks. Either that or have her as a hybrid defender buffer like Rose Liddy or Air Totri. So she's not really better than Liddy or Totri or Patty, and she just ends up feeling about as squishy as Sophie a lot of the time, but she doesn't give a damage debuff with her skill 2. So overall, like, yeah, I don't think she's very good. She's not really used very much. Like, she's not great. She has uses, but she's not great. Her leader skill, it's decent for Arland characters, I guess, but obviously there's not really too many Arland characters that you're going to be using as a main attacker. So yeah, Mimi's pretty unfortunate. She's super cute though. I wish she was so much better. I would love to use her, but she's basically going to be a defender for Stab Tower, and that's about where she is. On the other side, though, we have Ryza, and, you know, there's no way they would ever let Ryza be bad, right? Ryza's kind of nowadays the main character, the star of the Atelier series, right? There's no way they would ever let a Ryza be bad. They haven't done it so far, and, you know, Gyara Ryza's no exception. Academy Ryza's no exception. She's absolutely keeping up that energy, and she's really good. So what exactly does Ryza do that makes her so good? Well, she is an air breaker. We already have plenty of those, but her stun ability, her ability to break enemies, isn't why she's strong. She's more of a hybrid like breaker debuffer. So if you ever used Valentine's Eska, you know how powerful she is at debuffing, and Ryza basically has a very, very similar kit to that. So if we look at her skill 2, before attacking, reduces the target's air resistance by 25% for 2 attacks, and after attacking, oh, they typoed this, boosts target's magic attack, oh wait, no, sorry, I was thinking of something else. No, never mind. Boost the target's magic attack damage received by 35% for 1 attack. So all enemies will get an air resistance debuff for 2 turns, and, well, it'll be 1 after she attacks because it's before attacking, and then after attacking, they will receive 35% magic attack damage, which is really, really great for characters like Izana, or obviously any magic attacker, but Izana, Academy Resna, super, super, super strong for them. It applies to all enemies. It is an area attack, area stun, so this debuff will go on everyone. Very synergistic with, you know, AoE magic attackers. And this target's attack, this magic attack damage received, 35%, it scales with the magic resist down trait. And with that, you can get the value of this up to something like 75% with 3 copies of those traits. That's a lot. And we currently don't have really any sources of these debuffs other than Dark Water. There's not really any other source of the damage received debuff for magic characters. So it's basically just 75% damage taken. It's just a pure multiplier unless you're already using Dark Water. Really, really, really strong. And of course for air characters like Academy Resna, the resistance is also very relevant, but for someone like Izana, it's not as much. Her skill 1 will give panel immunity to the target. This is like Sophie's skill 1. It's not very useful. And her burst, this is what I confused the thing with why I said there was a typo. Her burst is single target burst. It's not auto break like the other Ryza. However, it's still very good. After attacking, boost target's magic attack damage received by 50% for 2 turns, so it's an even larger value. It's single target, but it's a larger value on the debuff. This can get up to something like 120% with the traits, and then, or 110%, I think. And then if it manages to stun the target, which it probably will because it's a single target breaker burst, like it does a lot of stun damage, it increases the magic attack of the ally with the highest magical attack, which will basically always be your attacker, by 50% for their next attack. That is pretty massive. That's a lot of magic attack, so very, very, very strong burst. This is basically the exact same as Valentine Eska's burst, so yeah. And going forward, like, this is kind of going to be how they set up breakers. They may be stronger or weaker than this, usually a bit weaker. Gyara Ryza really is one of the stronger ones, even now on JP. One of the stronger setups, but this is basically what breakers are going forward in the future. They are debuffers more than they are breakers, and you very much want to lean into that with their gear by scaling their debuffs. And then last but not least, we have her passive, Power of Vegetables. This passive is pretty crazy. Boosts all ally skill damage by 30% when attack target is stunned. This is of course really solid if she can actually stun something. It does scale with damage buff A, so if you do have the Reed Fish combo on her, you can be scaling this. However, you do want to actually be able to stun targets to make it take advantage of this. Like damage buff A doesn't matter if you can't stun the targets in the first place, so she does want to build stun damage, because if you can't stun, you never get this effect. And it may just be worth ignoring stun and just forgoing this effect. However, the second part of this is the absolutely like most crazy part of her entire kit, and it's why she combos really well with Academy Resna. And it's this: when attack target is stunned, upgrades all allies boost panels. So all of the blue panels will become boost plus panels. So instead of giving 40% skill damage, they will give 90% skill damage. So that's a lot. That is a lot of skill damage. Especially if you get 2 of those, you know, it's like 180% skill damage. Like if you use items and get a second one, right, on your attacker. And so this combos really well with Academy Resna and Sophie, because Sophie creates the blue panels and then Ryza stuns an enemy and she upgrades those blue panels. So that's kind of like how the Academy combo works, right? You get so much damage on Resna because of those upgraded boost panels from Ryza. And you don't necessarily even need Sophie either. I'll go over the recipes after this, but we do have an item now that can create blue panels as well, and that will also work for the combo as long as you use the items on Ryza's turn. So very cool. However, for a lot of content, to actually stun things, even smaller enemies, you might need to bring like a single target breaker to combo with Ryza. So the single target breaker goes first and then Ryza finishes it off to trigger her passive abilities. Very important thing to think about when considering Ryza's passive and how she fits into a team. Because yeah, it can be hard to stun things nowadays with Ryza alone. So, you know, keep that in mind. It's also possible to just completely ignore this passive. And I guess the last thing I should say, well, I'll talk about it when going over whether or not to pull for her, so we'll talk about that in a sec. Her gift is magic stun damage boost with good colors. She links to Shalistera, so really solid gift as well. And her leader skill cannot be ignored. It's another initiative leader skill. I haven't talked about initiative too much, but it's very, very broken. She gives it to Kukan Island characters, so that's anyone from the Ryza series, including herself. So initiative leader skills are very, very good, very, very useful, very strong in tower. They let you cheese a lot of tower floors that are off element of her. So yeah, very, very strong character. If you get her, you're very happy. She's really good. But should you pull for her? Should you pull for these units? So here's my opinion on these units. Ryza is in a very similar spot to Heidi, where she's really, really, really good. And she combos really, really well with the characters that she's made for. So like Heidi's really good with Roseval, Ryza's really good with Academy Resna. Ryza's also just good in general with other magic attackers. However, the rest of her banner is bad. Like Mimi's not very good, the Memoria's not very good. So if you're, you know, if you're free to play, pulling on the banner is pretty dang low value, right? It's a super low value banner. The only particularly good thing you can get out of it is Ryza. So it's kind of hard to recommend pulling on this banner if you have low gem income. Obviously, you know, if you're willing to spend on her, that's totally fine. But if you're wondering where to spend your limited free gems, like, this banner is not super worth it. And also, Ryza might be very good, but outside of Academy Resna, we have another character coming right after Academy. So in about like 3 weeks, we have another character coming, Onsen Claudia, who is very, very similar or even stronger in power level for other teams like Izana. And more than Ryza, if you are running Izana and not the Academy combo, I definitely recommend going after Claudia instead when she comes in about 3 weeks. So despite Ryza being very good, we will be getting units that are competitive with her. So it's kind of like you can go after her now, but it's not super necessary. Of course, with Academy Resna, Ryza absolutely is part of what makes her as broken as she is. Without Ryza, she's not like as good. But if you really want to do the Academy combo, I would honestly just recommend sparking Ryza instead of pulling for her. So, you know, do your tickets or whatever. Hope you get lucky with your dailies. This banner is, you know, another 10 days or so. But if you don't get lucky with the dailies or the tickets, like, sparking is honestly one of the better choices for her rather than spending your gems here, in my opinion. So that's what I think. And let's see. Do I need to do something to unlock the recipes? I think I do. That's my bad. I should have unlocked them before the video, but I do want to go over them, so... Do I need to do story or just score battle? Let's try the score battle first. Then we can just go do part 1. Do I have a... There we go. This should be pretty quick. Hopefully this actually gives the recipe. If not, I'll have to skip through the story real quick. Looks like we did not get a recipe. I should have unlocked these. I totally forgot. There we go. Okay. So we actually have a lot of recipes this time. And a number of them are very good if I remember correctly. Yeah. So first off, we have Mimi's gear. For this one, after using a skill, reduce all allies' damage received by 2% for one attack. Very low value, but if you're going all in on the, you know, defense for your party, it's like fine, but it's pretty mediocre. This one boosts HP recovery received by 8%. Very low value, not really worth it over something better like, you know, an herbal shirt, right? Then we have the socks, which boost single target skill damage by 18% for a stab defender. You're not relying on your defenders for damage. Basically, all of the Mimi recipes just aren't very good. Then we have the prototype Uni Bag, which is stab damage to all enemies at 260% effectiveness with one use. This becomes useful in the future. Keep this in mind. This item is important for clearing Stab Tower once we get up to floor 30 of the Affinity Towers unlocked. So JP got that update earlier this month. When that comes to global, this item will be super important for clearing Stab Tower, because there are floors, or there is a floor, where items deal 1000% increased damage, your party deals 90% less damage, and you get infinite uses. So this item with one use and high damage for all enemies, very, very, very important for clearing that kind of floor in the Stab Tower. So this item's important. And of course we have the red jelly, which boosts all ally skill damage by 10% for one turn. It's a buff item, and it converts the next 4 panels into boost panels. So when you use this item, it will just the next 4 panels will become blue panels. And of course you will get one of them after using the item, because the next panel becomes a blue panel, and after using the items it comes to you. So it'll be, so the character who uses the item will get a boost panel, and then the next 3 will also be boost panels. And this is what I was talking about with Ryza earlier, where you don't necessarily need Sophie to pull off the combo because you can create boost panels like this. However, it does mean you're only getting 1 boost panel on Resna instead of 2. So keep that in mind. And then we have Ryza's gear, the Gyaru set. We have the Gyaru staff. When equipped to a breaker with air affinity, boosts stun damage by 17% when attacking a weakness. Very high amount of stun damage. Pretty dang good for Ryza. Not much else to say about that. Very high amount of stun damage, pretty solid. Then we have the uniform, which boosts the potency of inflicted negative effects by 15%. This will affect all of our debuffs, so it will affect the air resistance debuff and the magic attack damage received debuff. So it's pretty solid. It's not super required because you're already increasing the damage received debuff by so much through traits. So if you need more stun damage, other stun damage gear might be better, but it is a solid option for her because she does inflict those debuffs. Then we have the bangle, 12 speed, and this is the best of all of the gear. It boosts the target's damage received by 8% for 2 attacks. So, you know, just an extra amount of received damage up from this. It's basically equivalent to, I believe, half of a trait, something like that. It's pretty solid. A little more than half of a trait, so very good item, and it makes her speedy, so pretty good. And then we have another set of items where you have to have the entire set for a bonus. So like the bamboo sword from last time, now we have the giant pencil of dedication, and this one is a little more useful, theoretically, where if you have the entire set equipped at the start of a wave, it boosts stun damage by 50% for 1 turn, and this is actually a higher bonus than you can get from a full set of gear right now, except there is one problem, and that's right after Academy with Chapter 12, we get a weapon that completely power creeps this. It just completely power creeps this. It's like 45% stun damage for 1 turn at the start of battle or something, or maybe it was 36, I don't remember. But it doesn't require a full set of like gear that does nothing. So absolutely, under any circumstances, do not try to make a set of this that's actually good, because it just immediately gets power crept and is completely pointless. These items suck. And then we have the student support extra large meal, which is a recovery item that hits everyone that also gives skill damage. So this is kind of interesting. It's basically a healing bell and like an alchemy candy or something in one. Pretty decent if you need healing and want skill. Like it's not bad. It's not a bad item at all. I've personally never used it though. Nowadays we mostly use debuff items, which give a much larger single turn damage boost than this could ever hope to give. So, and we have really good healing from like Flock and Liddy and all those other characters. So if you don't have a good area healer, it's a solid item, but overall it's not super impactful. It's fairly obsolete with good characters, but it can still be useful, so keep it in mind. And we also have the monster repellent spray, which is a very high chance to inflict blindness on all enemies for 1 turn. So if there's any content ever that needs blindness, this will be quite good. For now, it's not super useful. The tower floors that need ailments require like paralysis and poison. Blindness isn't really one of them, so. But if we ever do get content where that's important, keep an eye on this one. And yeah, that's all the recipes for this. I should note that in the next set of recipes, Academy Part 3, we will get another version of the jelly, which creates a guaranteed crit panel. That one is very exciting. It's very good for accounts that don't have like Snow Rorona or Bolt Resna, things like that, all of these crit supports. So that one's super good. It's much better than the Golden Soup on average. So very excited for that. And then we'll also get a version of this for paralysis. It's not all enemies, but it's very high chance, which is really nice for paralysis tower floors. So looking forward to those items with the next part of Academy. But yeah, that's it for the recipes. Now let's see about some polls. Hopefully we don't lose, but you know how it goes on these videos. We'll just quickly go through the dailies first and get nothing. All right. As expected. And we have 20 tickets. I don't really mind if I don't get anything here, but Ryza would be pretty dang nice, so let us see. Any winks? Oh, it's not looking so good. All right, let's get a fake out. Oh, we did get a 3-star. Nice. Now, whether it's a good 3-star or not, we don't know yet, but pretty solid chance here. No fake out, so probably not pick up. But could be a good pull. All right, let's see. Oh, big meteor shower. That might be a pickup. All right, let's see. This could be Ryza. Nice. Nice. Okay, that's really good. What the heck? I wasn't expecting this at all. Very, very cool. All right, one more set of tickets, but no matter what happens here, we're obviously happy with the results, so. One wink. Oh. This should be a 3-star of some sort. I didn't see Oscar there, which is weird, but we should at least have some sort of character in here, I believe. No big meteor shower again, so that's fine. Alright, who is it? Oh, Memoria. That's the, this Memoria is quite bad. It requires you to burn the target, so not very good. Another Ryza? That's so funny. This is base Ryza, though. That's really funny. Now, if only it was Master Ryza, because I don't have her, but back-to-back Ryzas is pretty funny. She decided to like me for once. Anyways, yeah, that's it for this one. I hope you all enjoy Academy. I wish you all good luck with your polls, and I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.